was a week of unexpected twists in sports, and it continued with the Burton Canadian Open in Calgary. Hot off her 13th consecutive win at Winter X Games, Kelly Clark was the overwhelming favorite for the victory in women's superpipe.
Kelly finished second in the semifinals, driving hard for win number 14, but she abruptly pulled out of the competition after a fall during a practice run, slamming the brakes on her record win streak.
With a wide open field, the remaining women stepped it up big. American Ellery Hollingsworth came in third with a 76.68, behind fellow American Gretchen Bleiler, who scored an 81.28. But it was Coral Castellet from Spain who seized the opportunity of Clark's absence to set a benchmark of her own, becoming the second woman in history to land a 1080 in women's halfpipe competition and earn the win. And for the men's halfpipe results of the Burton Canadian Open, in first place, Ryo Aono of Japan takes it with a 90.13. Two Finnish riders, Markus Malin and Janne Korpi, round out the top three. Let's move on to the Winter Dew Tour as it comes to its 2012 conclusion with the Toyota Championships at Snowbasin in Utah.
And this final tour stop is literally being supercharged by a handful of athletes with something to prove. You've got a men's superpipe showdown with iPod, who's on a short list of names who could possibly challenge the dominance of Shaun White. He's going up against defending Dew Tour champ Louie Vito. And Kelly Clark is determined to defend her Dew Cup title after faltering at the Burton Canadian Open. Todd Richards lays down a preview of the final Dew Tour stop at Snowbasin.
All right, so it all comes down to this, the Dew Tour wrap-up. This is it. This is the Dew Cup. It's going to be given away at Snowbasin in Utah. For the men's pipe, well, the battle is basically between iPod and Louie Vito. iPod has a win and a third. Louie Vito has a second and a second. So it's going to come down to the third and final event. Now, Shaun White won the first stop there in Breckenridge, but he's out. He's not even competing. He's not even in the running for this. So Louie Vito, he's had a long season so far. He's had a couple of disappointing finishes, not finishing in typical Louie fashion. We remember back last year, the 2010-2011 series, Louie Vito won every single stop. He was on a roll with winning contest after contest. This year, a little bit different story. The judges are a little kind of sick of his run at this point. Plus, Louie's been fatigued. He's got that disappointment coming off of the X Games, he's got the disappointment coming off of Killington, and also off of Breckenridge. Is that going to affect him? In my personal opinion, Louie is fired up and he's going to come out swinging. He has a new trick in the bag. He lives in Utah. He's sleeping at his own house, so I look for him to throw down at Snowbasin. On the women's side of things, well, Kelly Clark, she took a pretty heavy hit there at the Burton Canadian Open. Therefore, it left the door open for Coral Castellet of Spain to come in, stomp the second ever frontside 1080 done by a woman in competition. So Coral Castellet has a frontside 1080, Kelly Clark has a frontside 1080. It's gonna come down to Kelly Clark. Is she gonna be okay to compete there? Now, Kelly's pretty much has this thing wrapped up, so time will tell. Will Kelly actually be able to drop into the pipe? That's going to be the big question. So the first stop was slopestyle in Breckenridge. It was Yerman Broughton winning. At the second stop, it was Eric Willett. Who's it going to be at the third stop? Who's going to go home with the Dew Cup? I'm looking at Eric Willett. He's got some momentum coming out of the X Games. He got a third place in Big Air. Maybe he's going to carry that momentum in. But also Sage Kotzenberg, he is actually from Utah. He's got that second place, the silver from the X Games, coming with that momentum. So who knows how it's going to turn out.
Right now, taking a look at the current standings going into the third and final stop of this year's Winter Dew Tour. In men's snowboard superpipe, the battle continues between Yuri Polachikov and Louie Vito. And as mentioned earlier, Louie Vito perhaps going to unload that brand new trick. That could decide the difference. Finally, taking a look at men's snowboard slopestyle, leading the charge, Canadian Sebastian Toutant with 180 points, followed by Yerman Broughton in second. But rounding out the top three, Todd Richards made mention of him earlier, Eric Willett. He has the rotational capabilities to take it all. And in women's snowboard superpipe, Kelly Clark, her eyes on the prize, that being an overall Dew Cup. It will be her third if she gets it. She's closely followed by Gretchen Bleiler and Zhutong Kai of China in third.
Near the Baldface Lodge in the mountains of British Columbia, Canada, pro snowboarder and X Games gold medalist Travis Rice brought together 18 of the world's top backcountry snowboarders and turned them loose on one of the most ambitious courses ever conceived.
Yes, for sure. Built across 2,200 vertical feet on a slope nicknamed Scary Cherry, Travis and his hand-picked competitors took on over 80 man-made features built last summer. Now, most riders hit at least 5 features before heading into the super kickers, where fresh powder landings allowed riders to showcase their park progression in a natural setting. In other words, when pro snowboarders go to sleep and dream about perfect, pristine powder run, this was it.
I think this is really a good push for the pureness of snowboarding, all the way from its roots to where it's at now.
First time I saw the course was just like mind-boggling.
Red Bull Supernatural is a dynamic event that showcases really what snowboarding is about. 18 of the world's best come, throw down one perfect day, perfect course, and some futuristic features.
Everyone here is definitely the most stoked they've been all year.
Yeah, doggy! 10.
Essentially, I think the last 30+ years of snowboarding has inevitably led to this place.
Red Bull Supernatural, I think, is going to go down as something that was definitely a game changer in snowboarding.
And in first place, there can only be one champ, and the champ today is Travis Rice.
And the final results, Supernatural's visionary mastermind Travis Rice accepted the first Supernatural win with 91 points. Austrian Gigi Ruff took second with 84, and Nicholas Mueller from Switzerland finished his Supernatural run in third with a score of 82.60. And the victory for best trick went to American John Jackson for his backside double cork off the super kicker.
Red Bull's Supernatural airs March 31st on NBC. While Travis and his boys were out in the woods going supernatural, the rest of the top snowboarders were on the other side of the world in Innsbruck, Austria for the Billabong Air Style competition.
Nicholas Mattsson from Sweden earned a third place finish for his frontside double cork 1080. In second was Belgian Seppe Smits, nailing his cab 1260 mute grab. But it was Finnish rider Pitu Peroinen throwing a backside 1260 mute grab to secure the win. Are you like me, numb from the endless evolution we've witnessed in men's snowboarding superpipe the past few decades? I mean, it's a good kind of numb, but it's a lot to take in. So before we look forward at the frightening implications of what it's going to take to win in the future, let's go back, like way back, 1995 back, with a rider who is actually there, believe it or not, Todd Richards.
Well, back in 1995, there wasn't a lot going on. Maybe a couple frontside 720s. The walls weren't perfect. They weren't very big. Maybe someone was doing a backside 540, maybe a McTwist. That was about it. Then the inverted flips started to come into play. Then the frontside 1080 came in. Then the frontside 1260 came in.
A perfect 100!
Hands down the best run that we've ever seen in history.
It's just been growing every single year more and more. So I guess the big question is, how did we get to this point in the sport? I kind of think it's a test to the fact that the pipes are so perfect, specified width, specified length, it's perfect every single time they ride it. When I was coming up, you had to adapt to where the wall was pitching you out, what tricks you put where. A lot of the times it was you trying to conquer whatever half pipe was built for you. Nowadays, the tricks are incredibly hard, but as far as having a perfect playing surface to use, I think these guys, they've got it easy. Where's it gonna go from here? Will we see triple corks? I don't know. You know, I don't think so. I don't think there's enough time to get around, but who knows? Pipes might go to 33 feet deep, and it'll be a whole new ball of wax.
With the final winner due tour stop and bragging rights on the line, the pressure couldn't be higher for the athletes in men's snowboard superpipe. And the question that just won't go away, is Louie Vito ready to take on Yuri Polachikov and everybody else who wants his title?
That's a really good question, Pat.
Thanks.
Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah. Listen, positive over negative, because I do believe in positivity. Positive over negative.
For me, I think is more of a, there's more mental fatigue than physical fatigue. My physical shape right now is pretty good, so I feel good after contests. Like, I'm not tired or anything like that. But you know, doing contests and having your adrenaline and everything going up and down, that, you know, puts a toll on you. So I'd say more of mental fatigue. For me to get in the right headspace before a contest, I don't know, I think I just want to have some decent practices, at least do most of the tricks that I want to do in the contest, and then I just listen to good music, or at least music that I think is good, because it kind of puts me in the zone and blocks out everything else. My formula for contests is pretty basic, actually. You know, you just make sure you realize that you can only control what you do. You can't control your score. You can't control what other riders do. So set a goal for yourself. So I always set goals for myself. It's all right to be upset if you didn't win or place and you thought you should have, but worry about what you're doing. I definitely visualize my run, you know, at least get an idea, and then just kind of have fun, you know. I don't pay attention to, like, who put down hammers before me, if the crowd's really loud, how they're reacting. You know, I just kind of look at the pipe, so it's a tunnel vision, take a deep breath and go do my thing. It's gonna be pretty hard. I mean, last year the pipe here was really good and the riding was really good. And I know there's some big names coming to the final stop. So for me, I just want to go out and land a run. You know, I have a run that I want to do. If I land it, I'm stoked. And like I said, that's the only thing I can control. So hopefully it's good enough to land on top. But if not, back to the drawing boards.